Hall of Famers. I haven't covered one in the last few days. I just created a brand new playlist, which is awful seasons. We're all profile teams that had just absolutely horrible seasons. It's going to be a fun thing to do. But this is fun too. And Mark Recchi is a guy to look at due to a request. That's right. Mark Recchi's interesting in that when he got drafted, he wasn't a heralded draft pick. He wasn't really considered to be NHL ready by any stretch. That's why he was available. 67th overall, he's a 4th-round draft pick of the Pittsburgh Penguins. His first year after the draft, he only plays 15 games in the NHL. He gets a goal and 1 assist, but he scores 50 in the American League, which shows just that he's going to be ready to play pretty quick. And the Penguins are aware of that, so 89-90. While the team takes a step back, he takes a step forward. Plays 74 games his rookie year, gets 30 goals, 37 assists, 67 points. And I have a lot of rookie cards because he came in right when the hockey card craze was at its greatest. So I think a rookie card's worth about a quarter. But this play is worth a lot more than that. And in 90-91, he has an excellent season, 78 games, 40 goals, 73 assists, 113 points. And that scoring depth that he helps to provide for a Penguins team that's already being led by Yager and Lemieux is impressive. In the playoffs that year, he plays 24 games, gets 10 goals, 24 assists, 34 points. Again, this is in his second year, and they emerge with a Stanley Cup victory. So there's 1991, Stanley Cup, Pittsburgh, belonging to Mark Recchi. 1991-92, Pittsburgh would win another Stanley Cup. Recchi's fate would take him in another direction. Plays 58 games for the Penguins, 33 goals, 37 assists, 70 points. The Penguins decide they need to get tougher up front. You're not going to get Rick Tocchet for free, so Recchi's part of the price. 91-92, he ends up playing for the Flyers for 22 games after that trade. 10 goals, 17 assists, 27 points. So good point totals put up by Recchi, and not quite indicating just how good he's going to be, as that's a 97-point total, down 16 from the year before. 92-93, plays all 84 games that year, 53 goals, 70 assists, 123 points. That's a career high. And again, and this is something I've mentioned before, where young players will usually put up those career highs relatively early, and then their scoring totals tend to get scaled back somewhat from there. And they do scale back for him in 93-94, where he plays 84 games, 40 goals, 67 assists, 107 points. So everything looks rosy and fantastic for him right now, right? Yeah. 94-95, he plays 10 games in Philly, 2 goals, 3 assists, 5 points, and he gets traded. So after a iffy production in those 10 games, he goes to Montreal, plays 39 games there, 14 goals, 29 assists, and 43 points. Montreal's not as solid offensively as Philly. And he doesn't have the kind of scorers playing with him that he might have had in Pittsburgh. So in 95-96, a whole season with Montreal, 82 games played, 28 goals, 50 assists, 78 points. Still an excellent player. Not smack talking him at all. Still an excellent player. But, you know, you can only do so much in Montreal. 82 games played in 96-97. He plays 34 goals, he scores 34 goals, 46 assists, 80 points in those 82 games. Pretty solid performance all around, and almost a point a game during a time where goal scoring is becoming a little harder to get. So, solid totals. And 97-98, he consistently puts up those totals. 82 games played, 32 goals, 42 assists, 74 points. So he settled into a nice, even 70 to 80 points range. And then he blasts it. 98-99, he plays 61 games for Montreal, 12 goals, 35 assists, 47 points. Goal scoring appears to be gone. Montreal ships him out to Philly. That's the reason I'm wearing Philly here. He plays 10 games at the end of the year with Philly, 4 goals, 2 assists, 6 points. So with 53 points that season, it's the lowest point total he's put up in his career. It would be really easy to write him off at that point and say, all right, well, he's done. And that happens with players now, where you'll see a guy get moved, doesn't put up the points, and we go, well, he's probably done. He's had a good run. Everything's been great for him. It's too bad, but it's over. Nope. 99-2000, he comes back with a vengeance. 82 games played, 28 goals, 63 assists, 91 points. So Mark Recchi comes back with a pretty fantastic season. 2000-2001, he plays 69 games, 27 goals, 50 assists, 77 points. So he's still above a point a game. Misses 13 with injury, but he's still above a point a game. 2001, 2002, he plays 80 games, 22 goals, 42 assists, 64 points. So it scales back for him with Philly in 01-02. And 2002, 2003, 79 games, 20 goals, 32 assists, 52 points. Again, descending. It looks like he's, falling back. At this stage, has he already had a Hall of Fame career? I would argue probably not. If his career ends in 2002, 2003, I would argue he's probably not in the Hall of Fame right now. But 2003, 2004, he plays 82 games, 26 goals, 49 assists, 75 points. That's pretty solid. Then we have the lockout season, so there's no hockey played. Coming out of there, he is now the property of the Pittsburgh Penguins, once again. 64 games played, 24 goals, 33 assists, 57 points. He gets shipped out as a rental. And he gets shipped out as a rental to the Carolina Hurricanes. He plays 20 games with the Hurricanes, only scores 4 goals and 3 assists for 7 points. But in 25 games in the playoffs for them that year, 7 goals, 9 assists, 16 points, and a Stanley Cup. So this is the longest drought between Stanley Cups in history, 15 years. 15 years between the first and the second. And now Mark Recchi's Hall of Fame credentials are creeping in there. We can talk about whether or not he's a Hall of Famer at this stage of the game. But he's not done. He goes back to Pittsburgh, plays a full season, 82 games in 06-07, 24 goals, 44 assists, and 68 points. Everything's fantastic for him until 07-08. 19 games played, 2 goals, 6 assists, 8 points. Pittsburgh wants to get rid of him. Not everybody wants to touch his cap hit at this point. Recchi's kind of hard to move. He doesn't really have any value. So they waive him. They send him to the minors. Nobody touches him. On re-entry waivers, Atlanta says, all right, well, we'll take him at half the cost. So if you waive a guy and a team takes him, they're on the hook for the entire contract. If you put him on re-entry waivers, so coming back from the American League and a team takes him, they're on the hook for half. Re-entry waivers were wiped out with the last collective bargaining agreement. They're no longer a thing. But back then they were, and they did help Mark Recchi in this case. He plays 53 games for Atlanta and proves he's not done. Scores 12 goals, 28 assists for 40 points. He's not finished. And Atlanta gave him that chance. So while we can all talk about Atlanta, I know that's a Winnipeg Jets logo. I don't have a tiny Atlanta. We could talk a lot about Atlanta and the bad things, but honestly, he probably appreciated the Atlanta Thrashers a lot. So he moves to Tampa. And in Tampa, he plays 62 games, 13 goals, 32 assists, 45 points. Then gets traded to Boston. Boston picks him up in 08-09. In 18 games, he gets 10 goals, 6 assists, 16 points. And Boston likes what they see with Recchi. They don't expect a lot of scoring from him. They get him for his leadership and for his play in clutch games, shall we say. He plays 81 games in 2009-2010 with the Bruins, scores 18 goals, 25 assists for 43 points. And in 2010-2011, his final season, he plays 81 games, 14 goals, 34 assists, 48 points. 25 games played, 5 goals, 9 assists, 14 points in the 2010-2011 playoffs, and retires with his third Stanley Cup with 3 different teams. He's in the All-Star game in 91, 93, 94, 97, 98, 99, and 2000. He was a second-team All-Star in the NHL in 1992. And he won a gold medal at the World Championship in 1997. So Montreal misses the playoffs. He goes over, plays for the Canadian team at the World Championships, and wins himself a gold medal. He is the third oldest Cup winner when he wins the Cup for Boston, after Chris Chelios and Lester Patrick, who had won it with Montreal and the New York Rangers. It's the second longest span between Cups at 15 years. Sorry, I've said longest. It's the second longest span between Cups, with that being 15 years. And he's the oldest player in NHL history to score in the Stanley Cup Finals at the age of 43. So at 43, he puts up 48 points. And that's not bad. Honestly, 1,652 games played, 577 goals, 956 assists, 1,533 points. He is your classic tweener. Does he belong in the Hall or does he not? And eventually they said yes, but it wasn't the first year of eligibility that he got in. And, it's weird how they do that, how they'll make certain guys wait. They go, yeah, you're a Hall of Famer, but not yet. And he played 189 playoff games, 61 goals, 86 assists, 147 points. So he's a clutch performer in the playoffs and in the regular season. Excellent career overall, and it's amazing because he only played 20 regular season games for Carolina. They're barely on the board, and that's one of his 3 Stanley Cups. The only teams he played for that he didn't win a Stanley Cup with, other than Atlanta, are Philly and Montreal. So, there you go. The career of Mark Recchi, Hall of Famer, and he was elected into the Hall in 2017. Thank you guys so much for watching. Don't forget to hit like and subscribe if you're browsing your way through. You just happened upon this video. I'll talk to you again soon.